What is good, Tesla family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down why Tesla's absolutely exploding right now, how this is going to likely affect the overall markets, what you should be watching for in terms of economic data and earnings going into tomorrow for the markets as well. But before I begin double this information, before I talk about SPY and all these different tickers, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull and deposit $500, you're guaranteed 20 free stocks. If you deposit $25,000 or more, you're guaranteed 75 of them. And the offer ends very soon in just 7 days. Anyways, for Tesla, what on earth is going on? So Tesla missed on EPS and revenue. Their earnings were not the best, but what happened was they announced some very, very strong guidance as Elon Musk and the team started screaming about the AI developments of Tesla. Everything was built around AI. And as you guys know, AI is bullish for the long term. And their announcements were so strong that the entire share price is up like 12% right now. And it's continuing to push. And it's going to likely try to push even more tomorrow, which could help the market big time. So, with that being said, what I'm going to first do is talk about Tesla. I'm going to talk about what happened with earnings very, very quickly. I'm not going to go over every detail, just a few details here and there. And then I'm going to break down how this could affect the markets after that, and then talk about the charts for SPY and the others. Remember, Tesla's up 12% right now. So we were expecting 22 billion in revenue for Tesla and 49 per share, or 49 cents per share, excuse me, for EPS. Right, we ended up getting 45 cents per share below expectations, and our revenue is about 21.3 billion below expectations. Despite that, Tesla made a statement that they increased their AI compute by more than 130% in Q1, and this AI hype with their guidance helped the share price already start to soar a little bit. And then as time went on, there's a lot of people saying Tesla misses on earnings, this and that, and yet the share price was trying to push. And then the share price continued to push more and more and more as the reports came out. So for their financials, let me just be very, very straightforward. Financials were not the best. They were so overall. When it comes to services and other revenue, they are up about 25% year over year, but their gross margins overall, or their operating margins, are down to about 5.5%, a big decrease relative to before. And their income from operations is down 56%, not the best of news for them. However, despite that, the free cash flow, you guys can see it right here, this technically changed a bit. And that's important because with this change in their free cash flow, we're starting to see a little bit less than before. They actually reduced that quite a bit. And then with that happening, with their free cash flow decreasing, we also saw some shifts over here. They reduced their revenue. They had a lot of declines in revenue because of what they're trying to do with the Model 3 update, and also because of the Giga Berlin production disruptions. Profitability is also reduced because of different factors. So a lot of this was quite negative for the stock, at least to some extent, but that was offset by the fact that they have achieved some very, very awesome stuff. So they achieved a lot of great things. They managed to improve in terms of AI technology and production and such. Production capabilities have gone up, and that's part of why the share price was very excited about that. That's what offsets the negative news. Because if you look at the capacity, this has gone up in California for the Model S's and the X's and the others out there. Shanghai is continuing to grow. Berlin and Texas saw quite a bit of growth as well. And the Cybertruck growth is also there as they achieved over 1,000 per week, which is great news for them. Now, with that happening, with that big improvement in their hardware and everything else like that, that was very awesome news. So I'm going to transition now, just going over my notes about what they talked about during the call. I'll probably leave this still for just a few minutes and talk about some very important announcements. I'll be very quick, guys. I'm not going to talk for like 20 hours. The call was very tedious. It went on for a long time. So Elon Musk came out and he said, there were lots of challenges to the Model 3, but energy storage is continuing to increase and their AI training capacity has more than doubled. He also mentioned that there have been a lot more profound improvements to FSD as their hardware 3 is pushed out to 1.8 million vehicles, and that is reaching more and more people. They've driven over 300 billion miles with the version 12. The end-to-end neural network is the solution. The cameras are kind of like eyes, and they have a very big robo-taxi announcement. Once again, guys, AI by Elon Musk continuing to scream about that. Robotaxi has big announcements coming out in August. Awesome stuff so far. They're incorporating new GPUs. There were declines in their revenues quarter over quarter. They're saying it's because of seasonality and other factors. But overall, a lot of the big factors are because of the high costs of trying to ramp up the Model 3. And they're now working to reduce costs, which was kind of good. They mentioned for the 4680 cells, there's about an 80 to 20% increase in production. Musk also started talking about the Optimus robot. It's able to do simple factory tasks in the lab. It's able to do useful tasks. And Musk said something very bullish. He said that by the end of next year, they may be able to sell it. Musk is not always right about his dates and such, but he did mention that, and that is very, very good. My notes also include the fact that Tesla has a lot more improvements being made to their autonomous technology. Musk said that it's going to end up having half the accident rate. There's conclusive data that regulations will not be a big issue, and hardware 5 should be coming out as well. So new hardware updates, very, very good stuff. For the $25,000 EV, Elon Musk said that they're accelerating their lineup and the production mechanisms to get the vehicle out as fast as possible. And they're going to talk more about it on August 8th. On top of this, he's mentioning that there's eventually going to be tens of millions of Teslas out there within a decade, and there's going to be a lot of improvements as well. He also mentioned other things that have been going on, such as the Tesla Semi, they're working to improve its proficiency. They also have achieved 1,000 Cybertrucks per week in terms of production, and they're trying to improve the mechanisms. They also mentioned that Elon Musk said that for 2024, he's expecting sales to be higher than that of 2023. So Musk is still confident the sales are going to be strong towards the later half of this year. He's mentioning that there's going to be a lot of growth. And he also mentioned that there's a possibility of them licensing FSD. They're in talks with one company to do so. That is big news for Tesla. Licensing FSD is going to be big. Musk told a joke where he said they're going to put the auto in an automobile, which is pretty funny, and Tesla's continuing to grow in that end. He also said that all the cars are going to need to be smart in the future, so licensing is once again a method of survival. Tesla can be cash flow positive, and he's very positive about their different products. He also mentioned that they could be working on a new product very soon. Now the Cybertruck could get involved in the robotaxi announcements, so they might mention that the Cybertruck could be used for that as well, and many other things like that about FSD improvements, such as improvements to the autonomy system. So overall, FSD, Optimus, all this AI talk has been massive for the company, at least for the long term. And then finally, Musk also implied that if they become cash flow positive, they could be doing a buyback in Tesla shares, which is very bullish as well. That is absolutely incredible. I'm very, very excited about what else the future holds. So he's mentioning that as time goes on, auto costs are going to decline moving forward, and they're working very hard to get all this stuff out there. He mentioned that Tesla should be an AI company, not a company that's a car company, but an AI company. There's a big difference over there. And that's part of why Tesla and Elon Musk are very excited for what's about to come. So I summarized the majority of the points. I didn't get everything, guys. Sorry about that, but it's going to take me hours and hours to go over everything. This is what we're looking at operating cash flow. You guys can see it's still here. Free cash flow is kind of declining just a little bit. And then we're also seeing big adjustments being made. This is their deliveries data right here. There's a slight decline. May not, excuse me, Q2 may not be the strongest, but I think that there's going to be big improvements for the second half of the year. And then we'll have to see how things improve from here. There's more financial statements here. Their overall energy storage business is still doing very, very well with big growth overall. It's still holding up very, very well, and their net income is still not in the worst of places. I know they missed on EPS and revenue, but because they kept screaming AI, because they're talking about what the future is holding and more capabilities and big announcements, right? These big investors are very forward looking, and hearing about all this AI development and some bullish things coming out for the future makes them more confident to buy into Tesla. And the share price is already exploding and has more potential for tomorrow. All right, so that is it for Tesla. I tried to make that very, very brief. Hopefully, I covered the majority of everything within like 5 to 6 minutes. So that I think was pretty good. With that being said, I'm pretty sure you guys got the main points on Tesla, and I'm going to just transition to what's happening with the overall market. For tomorrow, okay, it's going to be Wednesday, April 24th. There's not really any major data coming out. It's going to be a quiet data day. As time progresses, we have some crude data. It's just very minor. And then we have some at 10:30 a.m., we have the New York Fed Treasury purchases, which is kind of minor. Then at 11:30, we have some bill auctions coming out, also kind of minor, followed by the 5-year notes auction. So very minor data. There's not really a whole lot coming out, but we do have one thing that's going to be pretty big, and that's going to be the earnings. So for Wednesday, tomorrow before the market opens, we have Boeing announcing their earnings. And then we also have AT&T. After the market closes, we have Meta, IBM, and Ford. Meta is going to be one of the most important ones. I can't wait to see what they announce. And so far, things are looking pretty decent. On top of all of this, I just want to say that with all the puts being bought in the markets, of course, the market's trying to bounce a little bit as we reach that 1.0 ratio. As the majority of people start buying into those puts, things are starting to shift in the markets. The VIX is also dipping a bit, approaching its 50 daily moving average, and the current sentiment in the market is becoming less fearful and more neutral. We're getting closer to that, so that's some big news. With that happening, let's break this down now. I just want to talk about the share prices. I know we're kind of behind. I want to get on with everything from this point on. So for Tesla, okay, it's breaking the high again right now. It's pushing. It's up 12.31%. It's continuing to get bought up. Going into tomorrow, it's going to gap up like crazy, and it could just keep going. If it keeps running, we're going to be looking at this resistance right here at this 165 zone. This is previous support becoming resistance. I know it's a little hard to see. Let me fix this for a bit. Right here, previous resistance becoming support, previous support becoming resistance, excuse me, right here. If we break that, we'll go to the next previous support becoming resistance at 170, followed by 175 as our next target. So, it depends if we could break 165. If that breaks, this thing is going to keep running. If it breaks 165, it's going to keep pushing. We're currently at 162. So it looks pretty strong. It looks to me like Tesla wants to keep going. So look at that 162 resistance, break that. We have that 165 zone. Get above that, and this thing could push all the way into the 170s pretty easily. The share price is looking bullish, and they might use this as a catalyst to push the market even higher. But here's another thing about this. Whoops, sorry guys. Another thing about this is Nvda is on fire. Nvda is exploding as well. Nvda is pushing. So Nvidia wants to fill this imbalance up here. We have the 200 EMA as resistance around this 846 area. It could keep going higher. With that happening, we're going to be looking to see what happens moving forward. And I do see potential in this to push higher. So with Nvidia pushing higher, watch and see if we can fill the imbalance. And once we approach that 845 area, it's going to continue to push. And by continuing to push, we're going to be looking for some nice moves to the upside as well. In my opinion, Nvidia has a lot of potential, and Nvidia could push more, and that could be used as a catalyst for the QQQ. Transitioning to the QQQ, this is also pushing in the after hours a little bit thanks to Nvidia and Tesla. We're approaching resistance at 428. If that breaks, we're going to be approaching our 200 EMA close to 430. And if that breaks, 433 is coming. If we reject and lose 425, we're going to be sinking back down to 423.5, then 422.75, and then 420 as our supports. In my personal opinion, I think this has more upside potential to test at least 428, if not 430 by tomorrow. It's still pushing. Tesla's going to be used as one catalyst alongside Nvidia. So the share price is still looking bullish, and it could go higher. There's also this gap to fill up here, so it might try to go for that. Let me just pull up the daily chart just for 1 second just to show you that gap. So from what I'm seeing right here, this is continuing to soar all the way up here. And with this happening, if we have these imbalances, it's going to try to fill. Could easily go up to about 430 if we continue to break out. We are looking a bit more bullish on SPY. It's no different. We're already at 506.5. If we continue to break out, our next target is going to be all the way up to about 509. Previous support becoming resistance. 509 is going to be our next target on SPY if this keeps up. So just to clarify, let me just fix this a little bit. You guys could see this first resistance is around 506.7 to 506.5. This is where our 200 EMA happens to be. If we break through this, 509 is coming. If we lose 505, we're going to be sinking all the way down to about 502. However, in my opinion, I think that SPY has potential to push up to about 509. The share price looks bullish as long as this continues. So we'll have to see if this continues or not. That's going to be very, very important. I think it could continue, and I do favor that thanks to Tesla. So let's see if we can try to break 506.7 and start pushing for 509. I do favor that a bit more. To turn bearish, you want to see it lose 505. If it loses that, 504 is coming in 502. But I don't really favor that. I do favor more upside because of Tesla. I think there's a very good chance that that's going to help us. For Aapl, not looking as strong. It's still kind of in this range. So let me show you this range right here. So for Aapl, you guys could see that we're still trying to hold this support at the 50 EMA. And the reason I have all these lines is because Aapl is very tight. It's in a very, very tight range. If we break past 167, look at 167.5. If that breaks, 168 is coming, followed by 169. For supports, if we lose 166.3, watch 166, followed by 165.25. I favor this trying to push up higher to the 167.5 plus area. So I believe that there's a very good chance of more potential upside. So I'm seeing that Aapl has potential to push higher, and we'll have to see how it goes from there. With that being said, right now Tesla is now up. Let's just see this. It's up. It's still pushing to new highs. It's still going. So now we're up 12.25%. Could be approaching higher levels. Tesla's on fire. It's not done yet, and there is still potential for it. Let's go over a couple more. I'm going to go over Palantir just real quick. I'm not going to go over everything I typically go over, guys. Just going to try to go quickly. Look at resistance at 22, this 22 area. I think we might try be pushing towards this. If we could break this, we're going to easily push towards previous support becoming resistance at 22.25. So I see potential for this to go higher. As of right now, we're going to be watching to see how well this holds. But like I said before, there is most definitely potential, and I do believe that this could end up panning out very nicely. I also wanted to add that moving forward, we also have Supermicro. Just like Nvidia, it's trying to push in the after hours, breaking past its key EMA. It's going to be likely approaching 800. That's my target. If we break that, we have this imbalance to fill all the way up to about, well, we could see 820, then 840 next, but I see potential for more upside. Rivian, let's see Rivian. Thanks to Tesla, Rivian is exploding as well. It's up 3% of the after hours, still trying to push past 9.3. We could be pushing up to previous support right here at 9.45. I see some more upside potential as we have a very, very clean looking double bottom like structure on Rivian. SoFi is also trying to push up. Tesla is somewhat helping this, and so is the market. We're approaching this resistance at 7.65. If that breaks, it's going to go a little higher towards 7.8. I could see an attempt to go higher, but it depends if we could break past 7.65, but there is still potential. For Coinbase, this is pushing. I think I want to see if this could hold this trend line tomorrow. I'm not 100% convinced yet. If we hold this, we could be pushing all the way up towards this 245 area. That's going to be our next level. If we could hold above 240 and also hold above this trend line. If we lose the trend line, watch 232 as support. If we lose that, 226 is coming, but I favor more upside for the chart. For Amazon, in my opinion, is looking a bit more bullish. If anything, it could slowly uptrend towards 180. It might dip a bit and then try to push higher towards 181. So I think there's potential for that, but it's not extremely strong. Could come down a bit and then start pushing higher. So we'll have to see for that. Meta has earnings tomorrow, and as of right now, it's trying to push a bit. It's at resistance right now. So we have this channel, right? We're at this resistance at 505. We could retest 500 and then start pushing higher towards 508 to 510. So it might push a little bit more towards 510, but then watch and see what it does once it hits that resistance. For Microsoft, this is pushing a little higher. We could be approaching 411 very soon. We're forming a very nice cup right now. It could retest 405 and then push up to 411. So watch and see if that ends up being the case. For Google, in my opinion, is also trying to push higher. We could be retesting 159, then bouncing and pushing higher off that. We have this resistance at 161. So watch to see if we dip first and then start pushing for 161. There is definitely potential. The VIX is still looking bearish, continuing to fall. The next support is going to be down here at 14.8. I could see this dipping a little bit more. So that could be, once again, because of the market pushing higher. This the 10-year treasury yield, this is still trading sideways, but it's actually turning a little weaker. You guys can see how it dipped a bit. Might reject off 4.6, and it has this gap to fill. So if this starts dipping a bit, if it starts filling this gap, that's going to be a signal that's good for the markets. The market could bounce because of that and push higher. And then we also have the dollar index. The dollar is looking weaker again. It's continuing to fall. It's now below some key EMAs. We have this previous resistance becoming support, excuse me. So 105.5 is going to be our target. The dollar could dip a little bit more. That could help the market push a bit higher. So things are looking bullish for the markets. Tesla is leading the way up. If you look right now, it's now up 12.5%. It's continuing to climb as I speak. The thing is on fire, and I can't wait to see what happens tomorrow. So Tesla is exploding. This could be used as a catalyst to pump the markets by these institutions. This is helping the overall AI sector with all this AI talk, not to mention all the talk about FSD and such. So that's good news for the markets. The market is looking like it may try to push higher tomorrow thanks to Tesla. So watch support and resistance just to be safe. And just know that I do favor the upside a bit more, looking at the current trends and looking at the charts. All right, guys, thank you for listening. Have an absolutely incredible rest of the day. I know this video is kind of late because I was waiting for the Tesla earnings call to end. So it took some time, but the video is finally done with. So have a great day. Enjoy the video for the night, and I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow before the market opens. Thank you for listening, guys. Have an amazing day, and peace out.